It's a distinct region that's rich in natural resources and biodiversity. Much of that abundance of diversity lies within the fish and freshwater mussels. You know, in the upper Tennessee River Basin alone, you have nearly 50 different species of mussels, so very high diversity.
They're a really good indicator species. If you're finding mussels, the river's probably a lot healthier than if you're not finding mussels. I've heard them described before as nature's Brita filters. An individual mussel can filter like 10 gallons of water or more a day out of the rivers, and they're picking up like those heavy metals, those like toxins. So they're doing so much work eventually for us and for everything else that lives in the river.
You know, as much like a coral reef cleans the water, and they're kind of the basis of the functional ecosystem out here, and that's why we care that all of them are out there doing what they're supposed to do.
Historically, you just walk through the river and you're just seeing mussel. Now you like really have to look for them. And the decline had a lot to do with pollution, like human-driven pollution, sedimentation, the biggest one, because mussels are filter feeders. So the more sediment getting in the stream, it can eventually clog their filters, like literally smother them. They can't live without filtering. That's how they do everything.
So one of the things that we can address is that increased sedimentation. When you have accelerated bank erosion, and oftentimes that's the result of unrestricted livestock grazing within our stream corridors. But it's a big ask when we're asking a landowner to limit access to that water resource. And so we have to provide alternate water systems, rotational grazing systems. It has to be an attractive offer to our landowners. And that's really where our partners come into play with this.
Most of our producers are dealing with steep inclines, and there's a lot of challenges with that. So we have to sell a little bit of production to sell conservation. And by doing that, we are now giving the producer infrastructure where it makes their operation more successful, along with protecting the water. The more partners you have, the more you can do. But your number one partner is always your landowner.
The stretch of the river that runs through our farm is the North Fork of the Holston River. I hope that one day my son is going to take this farm over, and I want it to be in the best shape and as rich as it can possibly be. So as we've come into the next generation on our farm, it's been really important to us to implement some conservation efforts to conserve our waterways, especially. We know that we have hellbenders here, which is the second largest salamander in the world. And we know that we have really unique mussels here. So it was really important that we keep the livestock out of our waterways and keep those banks stable. And so we've been able to do that through a partnership with Evergreen Soil and Water Conservation, and then also the Partners Program.
We saw an opportunity to provide some native trees and shrubs to the landowners to plant for increased diversity, and that stabilizes a riverbank. We're also looking at sections that perhaps need a little more active restoration, and that's where the stream restoration and the bank stabilization components can come in. One of our landowners on the Little River has an active cattle operation, and the Little River meanders throughout that property.
We were losing sod, we were losing real estate to the river every year. I really wanted to fence off my water. It was a large undertaking. Nearly 2 miles of stream bank. You know, the average farm operation could not afford to do that on their own. The cost share programs is really the only way to do it. While we were in the process of fencing off the streams, we installed several miles of pipeline troughs through the Tazewell Soil and Water Conservation District. And Corey and his crew came in and done a fabulous job. They did some root wad abatements and some netting and some livestock planting along the river, built the benches back out, terraced them, took care of the flood control. The project is great.
So in addition to the Working Lands projects, there are other opportunities working with towns, municipalities, and communities to apply these same projects. And oftentimes it's improving an open space for the community.
We're running adjacent to the river. We've got this beautiful town park. and we were experiencing a tremendous amount of erosion. Every time it flooded, it took a lot of the bank away. So we were continuing to inch closer and closer and closer to the town's main sewer line. So the solutions that were proposed was a stream bank restoration project. The Upper Tennessee River Roundtable began working with Corey Knuckle and the fine folks at U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
And we were able to come in and provide some stream bank stabilization, improving that reach for the entire aquatic ecosystem. And the town wins with a new, improved open space for the community.
I would say it's been a resounding success. We've not had near the amount of erosion. It's directly contributed to an improvement in water quality. There's increased habitat for fish and wildlife. I mean, this area is more wild and vibrant than it's been in 130 years. People can continue to access the stream bank where they can fish, so it's a perfect balance.
The mussels all rely on a fish to carry their larvae around to complete their life cycles. The larva cannot transform into a juvenile mussel on the wrong fish. They need to find a specific host fish in many cases. And so all these little mussels have these like unique lures, and they'll hang that out and wave it in the river. If a fish comes along, think it's getting a snack, and instead it gets a face full of these mussel larvae. And the fish swims away, and little does it know it's carrying the mussel's babies. So the mussels are counting on that to complete their life cycles.
When we have barriers in the stream, like a dam or a low water crossing that's acting as a barrier, the fish aren't physically able to swim through that barrier and move up and down the stream, and therefore, as host fish for these freshwater mussels, the mussels are also limited and not able to expand. Within the Little River, we know we have declining mussels, freshwater mussels. What we had in that system is an old mill dam in the upper reaches that essentially disconnected the headwaters from the main stem. So we approached the Bone Brothers about the dam and kind of planted the seed.
Well, it wasn't easy. We had to think about it a lot. Corey, we spent quite much time going back and forth negotiating. These are hard to negotiate. We were too. We finally came to terms. Everybody ended up happy.
So all of that dam material stayed on site to rebuild that new stream bank channel below the dam. When the barrier came out, we started to see some relics of history being exposed upstream, preserved in the river for over 150 years.
I feel good about it. I think we made the right move, and I'm real happy with it. And I think it's beautiful, and it's back like it was. Now, if the travel just come on up to here where I can get my fly rod out and get down there, I'll be all right. Boy.
I would point to this project as a prime example of how federal funding agencies should actually be looked to as community partners, because, man, they've done a great job of helping Chilhowie.
The conservation programs work. Not only do they help you preserve your resources and protect your land, but the management potential now from having all the water fenced off is crucial to me. The mussels are here, and the mussels are a direct indicator of water quality. So I think that's a testament to conservation.
We're trying to work collectively together to apply these projects on a watershed scale. We really believe that there is that common ground between species conservation and agricultural production, and that's what we look for. That's where we meet in the middle to provide that win-win solution.